Hey everyone, if this is your first talk with us, then welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. And for those of you that have already been tuning in, welcome back. We hope you will or have been enjoying what's going on, and we just want to take the opportunity to say thanks to all the sponsors and partners. And if you're not already signed up, don't forget to check out the Slack channel for lots more product marketing resources and discussion. Enjoy the talk.
What's up everybody, welcome to day 4 of Product Marketing Festival. We are halfway through the world's first online festival dedicated to advancing product marketing as a function, and I hope you've already learned something you can apply in your day-to-day. My name is Sebastian Unguranu and I'm going to be your host for the next 30 or so minutes. I am the lead product marketing manager in charge of consumer tech integrations at Bitdefender, a global cybersecurity company with over 500 million users. I've experience in B2B, B2C, and B2B2C marketing, and have previously worked in big data and cloud infrastructure. Since the start of 2020, I have seen an incredible shift in consumer and enterprise markets alike. So I would like us to discuss the things that make some companies and product marketers more resilient to big changes than others. Now, as you might or might not know, cybersecurity is very much like insurance. At first sight, you wouldn't say there's much creativity in it, but online security is foundational for the experience economy. It requires proper strategy as much as it requires shrewd strategies. This is why today we're going to look at 10 strategies meant to build resilience with product marketing. Find a way to implement these in your day-to-day and you'll have no issues sailing troubled waters. I'll go through each one, fill in the blanks, and try to explain what it means. I'll also answer questions during or after my presentation, but just in case, don't hesitate to reach out on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'll make sure to include a few links at the end of my presentation today. Right, so we're going to start with the most important thing on the list. And that is, get your unit economics right, because business models that withstand unpredictable times are always profitable. Unit economics is the direct revenues and costs associated with your particular business model, usually expressed on a per unit basis. You can even go so far as to say that unit economics are the basic financial building blocks of a business. As a product manager or a product marketer, it's important to understand the unit economics of your product, irrespective of whether you are managing a physical or a digital product. There are a couple of reasons why I feel it's important for you to have a good grasp of the unit economics of your product. And that is, one, it helps quantify the value of what we do. Then 2, it lets us achieve a mix of customer and business value. Then 3, it allows us to assess opportunities based on economics and not just gut feel. And in doing all of these things, it allows everybody to speak the same language. It definitely helps the collaboration between stakeholders, the board, and investors if you can speak about the unit economics of your product. And I know from experience that being able to talk sensibly about unit economics and gross profit really helps drive the conversation. You don't need to be a financial expert to understand the unit economics of a product. No, just knowing what are the levers that impact your product will put you in good stand when it comes to making product decisions and collaborating with your stakeholders. Now, it goes without saying that even if you know your unit economics by heart, you can still price incorrectly. There are 2 major mistakes that I see fragile companies that are susceptible to unstable market conditions do when it comes to pricing. And these are, 1, basing prices on costs instead of your customers' perceived value, and 2, basing prices on your competition, on the marketplace. First of all, basing prices on costs inevitably leads to one of the following 2 scenarios. Scenario A, if the price is lower than your customer's perceived value, then you are leaving money on the table And scenario B, where your price is higher than your customer's perceived value, and then you're going to be forced to discount heavily just to get to those customers. And your sales cycle is going to be prolonged, your bottom line will suffer, and all in all, it's not going to be a pleasant experience for anybody. Now, I guess I could say a few more words on segmenting your customer base accordingly and pricing differently for each of your segments. But even if we assume basic pricing model, I need you to remember that in times of panic, you do not touch the price based on your emotions. Have a plan made beforehand and don't overreact to market conditions. It's better to give a little bit more during these times than it is to sell for less. You could maybe try a bundle or give a few extra months of subscription, give free training to your customers, whatever works in your particular scenario. Just don't devalue your product by pricing less right now, because that's a long-term effect and it's a difficult hole to get out of. So again, don't touch the price when the price is right. Instead, what I suggest that you do is try opening your ears. To be effective in product marketing, we need to listen as much as we need to speak. Only then are we able to fully understand people on the other side of the table. Learning simply cannot occur in the absence of listening. Think of it as learning a foreign language. You don't learn anything new by interrupting or speaking over your teacher. Instead, you first listen with intent, and then as you slowly start picking up new vocabulary and are able to engage in meaningful conversation, you can say that you've learned and are able to communicate something in a new language. It's the same with the market. Don't go into it like a know-it-all in a foreign country. You might have heard that we live in a 24-hour news cycle, and while part of our job requires that we make the news from time to time, another part requires that we stop typing and open our ears far and wide. If you haven't built a community around your brand yet, I strongly encourage you to enable free-flowing conversations from which you can draw insights on your website or on your blog, on your social media, whatever is most suitable for you. Engage with your fans on social media and learn their language. Use their words. Third-party research might be good as a sanity check sometimes, but nothing compares to first-hand data that you can collect yourself. And when you finally speak, keep your messaging simple and real. Now, I want you to take a couple of moments to think about one thing. Were you at any point during the past couple of months confused as to what was going on around us? Because I know I was, and I'm willing to bet many of you were scared of the changes that were happening in our society as I was. So the single greatest opportunity for anybody working in product marketing or not has been to communicate in a simple, clear, and efficient manner. We as people are hungry, absolutely hungry for information from sources we can trust. And that's usually people and companies that are not afraid to speak up, and they do so in a manner accessible to all of us. This is not a time for big words. This is not a time to flex your dictionary knowledge. This is a time that requires you to keep your messaging as simple and as real as possible. Write as if you're writing to a friend. It doesn't matter if your posts on social media don't qualify as scientific papers now, does it? You don't need to send that one long email that explains everything in detail, although there's a time and a place for that as well. You are not the only one in panic mode. There were millions, if not billions of us. Our attention is now running at full capacity, just not to one single stimulus. We're paying close attention to everything around us because we need to, so we're very good at cutting out the fluff. We know that everybody is now paying attention, so our messaging really needs to shine through. Spread your message everywhere, diversify your channels, and reach people where they are. One thing in particular you should pay attention to, however, and that is to stay consistent through it all. Stay consistent because what gets repeated gets remembered, and what gets remembered gets done. Don't confuse your audiences with too many things all at once. Hopefully, if you've kept your messaging simple enough, Now you have the ability to spread the same message all across your channels. If something happens often enough, your customers will be persuaded. Repetition has a distinct effect on us. Music repeated gets under our skin. Advertisements repeated replay themselves when we see the product. Our brains are excellent pattern matchers. Repetition creates a pattern which naturally creates the comfort of familiarity. Some people just have to do the same thing a couple of times just to make up their mind. Good salespeople know about this and they keep at it until customers are persuaded. Doesn't matter if we're talking shoes, B2B software, software as a service, the principle is the same. So what do I suggest you do? Well, fewer messages more often. You should try to limit the number of messages you communicate through marketing. You would do better with a list of fewer marketing messages repeated more often than you would otherwise. Beware of boredom. If you're doing things right, you will get bored of your own messages before they stick with your customers. Don't be the company that pulls the plug on your marketing messages too early. Last but not least, rethink the way you spend media dollars. Would you rather run your messages in front of 30,000 people once or 10,000 people 3 times? You're going to find greater success if you repeat your messages in front of the same audience multiple times. What I suggest you do is you could try segmenting your audience and in the process find a better way to analyze the data. It will force you to use better analytics. Moving on, how you should balance your efforts between the short-term and the long-term goals, because sometimes it feels like you have to focus on one or the other. The tension can be characterized as facts versus feelings or quick wins versus long-term gains. Branding creates a high-level experience that engages customers through the power of storytelling, while sales demand that we create more technical assets that address real pain points and explain the way our product solves them. But make no mistake, any trade-off that you do has to be temporary. Brand dilution is a real thing, and in the experience economy, it kind of hurts. Even with good foundations, it's easy for that initial agreement to slip out of alignment. It's important to understand how branding and marketing campaigns fit into the customer journey strategy. While brand and product might take different roads, they both lead to the same destination, and that is boosted sales. Every company is different, and the right mix between brand and product marketing will be dependent on your industry and on your product. What's universal is the need to get both sides of the house working together for the optimal experience. Don't just ignore your brand because something big is happening in the market and you need to shift your attention immediately to someplace else. You can do this, but just for short periods of time. The truth is, a lot of us have been caught off guard by the events happening this year. Social unrest aside, I think it's safe to say that none of us were expecting most industry events to be cancelled this year. We all had our quarterly and yearly strategies well planned in advance, but if you didn't throw out those strategies in the first couple of days of the pandemic, then you weren't fast enough. This is what I mean when I say you should avoid premature optimization. In the absence of measurable performance, you shouldn't optimize your marketing because you think things could go a certain way and therefore you will get a performance gain. There are obvious tweaks and tricks that we can do with all our marketing, but anything that isn't a trivially clear optimization should be avoided until it can be measured. This is a concept I've borrowed from programming, and it's a concept I understand very well because I started out my career as a programmer. It's a famous saying between developers that premature optimization is the root of all evil, and it's used whenever you're spending a lot of time on something that may or may not be actually necessary. It's a phrase coined by a man called Donald Knuth in his book, The Art of Computer Programming. But if we were to adapt it to marketing, we could say that the real problem is that marketers have spent too much time worrying about efficiency in the wrong places and at the wrong times. If you're writing copy that you think has to convert upon first impression, if you're spending time with study groups, remember that you can't stay relevant and take all the time you need at the same time. The past couple of months have really tested our ability as marketers to adapt and stay relevant. Hopefully, you haven't taken too long to change your messaging and your marketing strategy to something a bit more relevant for these crazy times. There was a right time to talk about the pandemic in your marketing copy, and that was in the first couple of weeks, because anything that came after that became a detractor as the public was flooded with the same message, repeated over and over and over again by just about every lazy company that took too long to get into the game. And there was a time to talk about the street protests in the United States, and that was before being called out on social media for not doing anything and staying silent. And there will come a time when again you will need to move fast and be at the forefront of strategic communication. And my only hope is that you will remember my presentation and act fast. And just to give you an example, at Bitdefender, we decided early on to offer a full year's worth of enterprise-grade security to all healthcare organizations across the world to help healthcare providers offer their services during the coronavirus pandemic without hospitals or doctors worrying about falling prey to the ruthless, opportunistic attacks revolving around the crisis. So you see, my biggest gripe with premature optimization in marketing is that it's subject to inside-out thinking, bias, prejudice, and can be a huge time waster. It's better to stay nimble and keep your options open all the times. Next up, publish like a media company. People like Gary Vaynerchuk have been telling companies that they need to publish like a media company for decades, but so far, with a few notable exceptions, it hasn't happened yet. It takes courage to stand behind long-term brand investments like becoming a publisher in the face of hitting short-term revenue goals. It's hard to balance the need to help sales achieve their numbers with the need to build a brand. So I don't really blame CMOs who shift budget and resources away from brand to short-term demand generation channels when times get tough. But it's a huge mistake and one that you'll come to regret. Marketing is littered with abandoned podcasts, blogs, and social media channels. The truth is, you need to find a way to both invest in brand and help sales achieve their numbers over the next few quarters. Because all of those brand investments that you do today are going to pay off dividends in the long term. Check out Cloudflare. They just announced a 24/7 online TV service. And at their core, what they do is they provide infrastructure for the web. You need people on your team to be the face of your brand. Start with yourself. People want to hear from other people. And especially in the past few months, we've all been yearning for that special human-to-human connection. In the face of social distancing, being human is the least we can do. And remember, if you ever feel like you're hitting the content creation wall, it's probably because you're writing for someone else. Cut to the chase and literally write all your material like you're writing to a friend. Remember to keep being real. The days of corporate messaging are over. People want the real you. Next up, keep shipping. It's Product Management 101. Always ship, rarely launch. I'm a big fan of continuous deployment to give customers new features. I also understand the importance of big launches, but during times like these, it's actually smarter to put out new functionalities all the time at an increased pace to show your customers that you still exist and you still care about them, and you are still a reliable partner even during difficult times. The unspoken rule that you need a compelling bundle of features together with communications that tell a story went out of the window together with a product playbook. The rules of the game have changed overnight, and you simply cannot afford to wait until the right time anymore. Now more than ever, you need to keep shipping in order to consistently engage with your customers. But what can we as product marketers do in the absence of new features from product or engineering? Well, feature marketing is a tactic in which a company markets a feature extensively in order to attract new customers. It not only offers prospects a reason to become your customers, but it also offers existing customers an incentive to stay with you. A few things you can do for your existing product features is 1. Create a landing page or maybe a page in your knowledge base if that's more appropriate. Then 2. Send an email highlighting benefits and educating your users about the feature. And 3. Promote your product feature on social media, on your company's blog. Remember that many great thought pieces come from marketers who take the time to explain their vision and their product. So be one of them and put yourself out there. Putting yourself out there means that you have to proclaim your passion, offer your services to those you think you can help, and there are certainly a lot of people who can use your help these times. And work yourself off through the highs, the lows, and the inevitable screw-ups until you reach your goals. Become the face of your company and elevate product marketing while you do it. Here at Product Marketing Alliance, we are a strong community of passionate professionals who are in it for one thing only: becoming better at what we do. And there's certainly more that we can contribute to the public discussion than we already do. Much of our work happens in the background. We are enablers as much as we are doers. We bring together so many departments at the same table. We contribute such a diverse set of skills that I would like to see more of you making a name for yourselves out there. Especially since we're all working from home, take the time to engage with the community within your company, at PMA or elsewhere, but get your views out there and put your skin in the game. It'll force you to become better at what you do, learn from your mistakes, and grow because there's no other better option. Always, always, always try to go up. So that reaches the conclusion of our discussion today. So let's go through the list one last time and see what we talked about today. First off, unit economics. Take the time to understand yours, get it right, and move away from just gut feeling. Then 2, don't touch the price if the price is right. Stick to the plan and don't devalue your product unnecessarily. 3, open your ears. Remember to ask, listen, and then talk in this particular order. 4, when you talk, keep your messaging simple and real. People want to hear from other people. 5, what gets repeated gets remembered. Let me say that again. What gets repeated gets remembered. And just for good measure, what gets repeated gets remembered, and what gets remembered gets done. 6 on my list. Work on sales and branding alike. Don't neglect one in favor of the other because you're going to suffer in the long run. 7. Avoid premature optimization. Premature optimization is the root cause of all evil. 8. Publish like a media company. Who doesn't want to launch their own TV service? I know I do. 9. Keep shipping and don't lose that all too important inertia. And last but not least, 10. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. We need more product marketers to speak up. That's about everything I had prepared for you today. So I hope you've learned some new things today, or maybe I've helped put things in a different perspective for you. If you did enjoy my talk, then you can reach out at sebastianunguranu.com or elsewhere on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. I read all my messages. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the Product Marketing Alliance. I absolutely love what these guys are doing. They have a brand new certification for product marketers on their website. I highly recommend that you give it a shot, and I'm sure there's rock solid advice in there for you. That's about it for today. Sebastian, over and out. Thank you.